Hello, welcome to this video. In this video, we're going to talk about Earth geometry. So, obviously we need to start with introduction to Earth geometry because basics will help us have a good stamina throughout the study under Earth geometry. But before we get in there, lesson objectives. Number 1, at the end of this lesson, you should be able to define and identify latitudes and longitudes. Lesson objective number 2, at the end of this lesson, you should be able to identify the equator and the Greenwich. So without wasting much time, let's get into the actual study focus. So the study of Earth geometry, we are going to be much concerned with the following 3 things. 1, the location of places. 2, the calculation of distances. And 3, the determination of time differences between places on the Earth's surface. So for mathematical purpose, the Earth is taken as a sphere, and it is assumed that it has a smooth surface. This means that irregularities on the Earth's surface, such as hills, mountains, are ignored. Now, if we were to go back to our study focus, the 3 bullets you're seeing on your screen, how can we achieve this? We now have to go to what is known as the lines of latitude and longitudes. And I will start with latitudes. So, for the purpose of making positions on the surface of the Earth, its surface is divided in sectors by imaginary lines which run from north to south and from east to west and form a grid across the entire globe. Okay, so now since the Earth is spherical, these lines form circles around its surface. Okay, now these lines are known as the latitudes and the longitudes. So we are going to start with latitudes. What are latitudes? Latitudes are simply lines that run from west to east, and they have a very nice property, and this property is that these lines are parallel to each other. In the family of latitudes, there is a latitude known as equator, which is a line of 0 degrees. This line divides the Earth into 2 equal halves or parts called hemispheres. And these 2 hemispheres are known as the North Hemisphere and the South Hemisphere. Now, longitudes. What are longitudes? Longitudes are simply lines which run from north to south. Longitudes are lines, the lines are also known as meridians, and each longitude passes through the north and the south pole. Under the family of longitudes, there is one which is known as the Greenwich meridian, which is an imaginary line used to indicate the 0-degree longitude. The Greenwich meridian is also similar to the latitude equator. It has 0 degrees, also divides the Earth into 2 equal halves known as hemispheres. And one is called the East Hemisphere, the other the West Hemisphere. Okay, what I have here is a diagram that I've drawn, the Earth's surface, and I'm going to use this diagram to shed more light on what we've just talked about. Now, we talked about 2 imaginary lines called the latitude and longitude. Now, here on this diagram, we have directions west, east, north, and south. As we can see, our compass is also helping us with the directions. So remember, we defined latitudes as lines which run from the west to the east. Okay, so if you look at this diagram, I have constructed an imaginary line which passes through the center of the circle, and this line is coming from the west to the east. This line is known as a latitude. The line is a latitude because it's running from the west to the east. We can also see that we have another latitude which is in dot forms in the blue. That is also a latitude. Okay. Now, when you look at latitudes, this line, you can see that it cuts or divides the Earth's surface into two equal halves. And one side above this line is called the North Hemisphere. And below this line, it's called the South Hemisphere. This line is known as the equator, which is denoted in terms of degrees as 0 degree, or rather say the line of 0 degrees. Okay, now let's go in the family of longitudes. Remember, longitudes are lines that run from the North Pole to the South Pole, or from north to south. Now, these lines, they all pass through the north and the south. There also is a special line, okay, in the family of longitudes, which is the Greenwich. Also is referred as 0 degrees because it divides the Earth's surface also into two equal halves. And one side on the right, this part is called the East Hemisphere. And on the left side, it's called the West Hemisphere. Okay, now all you have to do is understand the difference between the longitudes and the latitudes. That way, you'll not be confusing yourself. So, what points do you have to put in mind to help you identify the differences between the lines of latitude and the lines of longitude? Simple. 1. Remember that the lines of latitude are always going to run from the west to the east. Okay? And the lines of longitudes are always going to run from the north to the south. Okay? Now, that said, you can all see that everything now is making sense. That's all about the introduction to Earth geometry. If you're new to this channel, subscribe and hit your notification bell so that you don't miss out the next video. In the next video, I'll advance by teaching you how to allocate places. Thank you for watching, and if you like the video, please thumbs up and comment. If you have questions, if you have complaints, and anything else, just tell me how you feel about everything I'm doing. Do you want me to continue teaching using my clipboard, or do you want me to continue teaching using the whiteboard? Just give me all those ideas in the comment section, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.